Welcome everyone, Ronin here. I'm going to talk about stats for a bit. I'm going to make a series of guides just to help you guys out and hopefully share some good information. I've been waiting for a while to do this. I have about 400 hours in the game now, or at least the alpha, and then about 100 in the actual release of the game. I wanted to wait till I get at least a full playthrough done before I release the information, because I want to make sure the information I give you is actually relevant. I know there's a lot of new players out there. This is the best RPG you'll play, likely, at least up till now. And I hope a lot of developers learn from Larian. Larian, don't change. Keep this kind of content up. This is amazing. And it's a huge change from Divine Divinity or Beyond Divinity to now, but it's good. Maybe remake the stories from the other ones, add them as quests, but keep this playstyle and like the functioning of the skills. But anyway, today it's stats. We're gonna start with the basics. So I'm gonna use my main, which is Feign in this run. We're gonna go with strength. Strength is for your warriors. Basically, it's gonna help you do more damage with swords, hammers, axes, single or dual wielding, and even two-handed. That's where your strength's gonna go. Finesse will be your daggers, bows, and spears. So just remember that if you're planning on doing a build with those, and it's really important because skills are tied to this. Now you have intelligence. Intelligence is staff, wands. That's basically it. And all spells are tied to this. Now why I didn't mention spells and skills is because all spells are always going to be intelligence. Skills will be based on your weapon. So any warfare skill, any scoundrel skill, or not any, most warfare skills, most scoundrel skills, most huntsman skills, although that's kind of a weird one, are based off your weapon damage. So, or at least the weapon type, which is tied to that stat. Let me just show you. My battle stomp is a warrior skill. If I were to use it, I mean, I'm sure most of you have seen it. It's a pretty early game skill. It's a warrior skill. But because I'm using a staff, it is using intelligence. I can't point on the screen because it'll go away. But it is using intelligence for the scaling. It says so in blue if you want to read that. Now, if I switched weapon, this counts as a strength weapon. It says in the weapon, it says scales with strength. Now, this skill is now strength based. So this is where it matters when you're doing your builds. And then I don't have a spear, I sold them all. Nope, dagger and spear. Rip. This changes the scaling to finesse. Even though I have a strength weapon in the other hand, even if I remove it, it is now finesse. So we're back to intelligence for scaling. So that's the same for, it should be the same, but not all skills. Like you'll see, chloroform will remain finesse. But most scoundrel skills, you can't use without a dagger, and same with huntsman, most of them you can't use without a bow. Polymorph's a weird one. Some of the skills are purely int, some of the skills, so I guess they're made to be more, so polymorph is a weird one. Some of them are strength, some of them are int, some of them are finesse. It all depends on the skill itself, not necessarily the weapon you're using, but I find they're scaled pretty good anyway. Tentacle Lash on a finesse character still was doing a shitload of damage, so don't worry too much about that one. Or even Medusa Head would do a lot of damage on my rogue on my first run. Constitution. I don't put many points in there. I don't plan on building characters that can take a hit. I put a few points only for the shields. Shields need the Constitution to be able to be equipped. Most shields give you Constitution, so don't put too many points in there if you plan on using a shield. Just enough that you can equip the shield in the first place. Memory. Really important if you plan on using a lot of skills. I think on my first run, I ended up with about 25, 28 intelligence or memory on almost everybody. I like having an entire bar worth of skills to use for whatever situation. I like to be prepared. That's the beauty of this game. There's no one build that's going to be, okay, this is it, this is what I'm using, because you never know what skill you may need, in my opinion. When I'm playing, I like to control the fight. I'm not very specific about doing that much damage, killing something outright. I just want to control the fight. If they can't hit me, I don't need Constitution. But if you're not as used to playing that way, then maybe putting some points to give you some survivability. The field, maybe that's where you're going to be putting points in Constitution, and maybe a few less points into memory. But I like to be able to use skills on every action. not just, you know, I'm going to move this turn because I have nothing else and I'm going to melee. After probably level 8, you'll almost never see me melee unless it's a rogue and he's backstabbing and there's really no point using an ability. That's about it. Mages will always be casting if I can. Even if I must, it'll be Staff of Magus versus a melee attack. Any exception though, that this is my my melee mage with a staff. Lots of exceptions. Wits, which is really good, but it got nerfed. So it used to be that whoever that had the highest initiative would attack first. Still true, but now they sort the bar out. Let me see, do I have any enemies left over? Okay, so as you can see here, Fane is first on the bar, and then Sourcehound, Argos. Where's Argos? That one? Yes. Examine. His initiative, wherever it is, attitude. Yeah, I may not have enough, but we'll just base it off wits. I don't have Lore Master high enough probably yet. So he has 12 wit. I have 15. So I go first, sure. Then if I look at, okay, Losi, she has 12. Do all the dogs have 12 now? Okay, all the dogs have 12. He has 11, but he has a bonus to initiative, I'm sure. No, 11. I guess it works the same for the enemy too. So don't worry about wits anymore. I was testing that one out. So what ends up happening is it'll take your fastest character, it'll put him, or the fastest character, put him up front. Then it'll take the enemy's fastest character, put him next. Then it'll take your second fastest and put it in the second slot, and so on until it finishes the lineup. So don't worry about having high wits on characters. Wit should be used, in my opinion, for your character looking for treasure, but make that character your crit class, because it gives you 1% crit per point and 1 initiative. Sure, the initiative won't matter because you'll likely always be first, but the crit chance is actually really nice, especially on the mage. Once you get, now this is gonna be for later, but Savage Sortilege or Savage Sortilege, it's like a, I don't know, I'm pretty sure it's one English word, one French word, but anyway. So this is good for a ranger, a mage. It's not good for a rogue. You'd think, oh yeah, rogue, why not? You want the high damage. But every time you backstab with a rogue, you automatically do crit damage. So you don't want that on a rogue, actually, which is a change from the first game. Since I forgot, hover over the stats. It tells you what it does. Just don't forget to do that if you're wondering what's going on. Why is it in blue? Blue just means that you're getting bonus from gear. Damage, hover over it, it'll tell you where your damage multipliers are coming from. So in this case, my water damage increased by 5%. So if I'm doing water damage, in this case, because my staff is water, it's going to affect the damage right here. If I switch to 11 to 12, but see, it doesn't say from water damage anymore because it is not a water skill. So if you make a melee mage, depending on the staff you're using, factor that into this. I don't think I can find a necro staff, mind you, but I'll figure out something and then give you more melee damage. And then from intelligence at the bottom, which would be the same if I put this on. 5% from, oh, geo in this case because that's geo damage, and then warfare plus 5 and finesse. Now accuracy, most skills won't give you accuracy, so accuracy will more or less stay there unless the weapon has it on it. And I don't think I have a weapon that has it on it right now, or an item that has it on it. The only way to increase accuracy I've noticed is single-handed will give you more accuracy. Most of the skills and spells can't miss unless you target in the wrong spot, but most skills will not miss, so you don't have to worry too much about accuracy. Crit chance, you hover over it, it'll tell you what's affecting your crits, and not just your crit chance, but your crit multiplier, which means you do more damage. To increase that real quick, you can go with Scoundrel. It'll actually increase your crit multiplier, which means that your crits hit harder. This is why it's good on the rogue, because when you do backstabs, you automatically crit. Anyway, this is why wit is not a big deal on a rogue. You're likely going to dual wield or single-handed. You can't backstab with a spear, which is a shame. But you'll basically get your 5% crit multiplier every level. But that is not just for scoundrels. This actually works for my mage right now, as you can see. Crit multiplier 159 instead of 150. Dodging, it's very hard to get dodging up at first. I don't think there's a stat that actually boosts your dodging other than dual wielding. And it's only while you're dual wielding. You also have leadership, but you kind of have to be really close. 5 meters is not much. If I use a spell, 5 meters is about to here. So if I split my group up, he's at the bottom of the stairs. Okay, that must mean that leadership gets height advantage. Or far out man. I swear it's 5 meters. Okay, it may be better than I thought then. The lizard has it. Okay, he doesn't have leadership. Or wait, he has leadership, but he doesn't have far out man. So I don't know why. Leadership is actually farther than I thought. It's about 7.5 meters. And it looks like height advantage might work. No. Height advantage does not work. It's about 7.5 meters. Interesting. Moving on. Physical armor is just basically the total of all the armor you have on from physical side. It prevents physical status effects. And magical is the same thing, but it's just the magic side. So spells instead of getting bashed on by an axe. Movement goes up, same thing, you hover over it. This one, Scoundrel, gives you more movement speed. I think that's about it. Wits, nope, it changed. That's it. The only way you can move your increase your movement speed will be that. Haste will also increase it. Initiative, just like we covered earlier, is just about whose turn is, whose turn happens when. That's basically it. Experience is how much experience that you've learned so far, and when the next level is. Your resistances, if you're in the negative, you take... So, the baseline will be 0. If you reach 100%, then you'll start absorbing health from that damage type. And if you get to 200%, I think you'll absorb 100% of that damage instead of just a few percentage. So, for example, since I have Feign, if I use... Beast, I'll cast Poison on Nosy. You get 25. She took about 25 damage, plus then the poison went through. In total, she took quite a bit of damage. Now, if we use on Feign, he absorbed the full amount that she would have taken, or that she did take. That's because he's at 200%. If you're at 100%, you're just immune to poison. You won't take damage, but you won't really heal either. If you get to 0, you take full damage. If you get minus 100, you take double damage. And I think the highest I've seen is minus 200. And that's basically double full damage. Or no, that's like 4 times the damage really. Because minus 100 is double damage. So yeah, it's a lot of damage. And that is it for attribute. I'll stop here. I'll head back to streaming. And then I'll make a guide about combat abilities. Tomorrow, I'll do a guide about combat abilities. And then so forth. And then we'll talk about what's there, what's good, combinations, classes. All those will be coming up in the next few days. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you in the next video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Talk to you later, everyone.